Hey, I hope you enjoyed that little hand-drawn video I did for you. They're a lot of fun to do. I'd like to say thank you very much for taking the time to watch this little 30-minute video. You're going to learn a lot, I promise you that. Please do me a favor. Just shut off your phone, go shut the door, take some notes, because this could be, depending on where you're at in your life, but this could be the most important 30 minutes you've spent in a long, long time. Hi, my name's Jimmy Ingram. As you know, they call me the Lazy Vendor. I'd really like to let you in on what I know about a fantastic industry, and that's the vending industry. First, I want to give you a little bit of our background. My business partner, Rick Gowdy, and I were very successful from our very early 20s up until about 30. We owned 25, we created and built and run 25 bookstores. We had a supper club, we had a couple other restaurants. We're both worth a couple $1 million. I had bought President Johnson's 4,000 square foot condo at Woodley Park Towers. That's where my wife and I lived. Rick had a big condo. We both found ourselves divorced and flat broke at age 30. Yeah, it went from us being multimillionaires to living in a small motel room with 2 beds. This is the picture of the exact room. I keep it because I never want to forget the mistakes I made that got me into this room. Now, we got out of this room because my business partner had wanted to start a vending route. So he had started a small, what's called a tavern route. We had video game bar games in several bars around town. And with the help of a friend and an attorney, we expanded that. And we found out the reason we were broke is we weren't being proactive. We were reacting to things. And when you react instead of being proactive, you haven't planned. So you miss out on opportunities and you're not prepared for downward trends. And of course, we didn't know much about writing business plans. And that's a killer. Well, we built $1 million vending route in 3 years. We could have done it in 2 years if we knew then what we know now, of course, but we didn't. We had to go through the learning curve. This is how we got out of that motel room. And here are the key elements to how we did this. First of all, we recognize the vending industry has a bad reputation for not paying fairly to its clients, not reporting the true sales. So we discovered honest vending is the total solution. You see, when you're honest with your clients, you're building up capital because they trust you. And then we discovered how to route scalp. And the way we route scalp is very interesting. You're going to like it. That means that we go out and take away high volume locations from all of our competitors, no matter how big they are or how small they are. We discovered also we didn't need that big warehouse we had, so we downsized from $3,400 a month to $400 a month because we just rented a wall in a big warehouse. These guys in this warehouse, they distributed wild boar meat, all sorts of wild game to restaurants. They had a huge warehouse. They didn't need that space over against the wall, so we rented it for $400. That meant we got to put that extra $3,000 in our pocket. We went from 10 employees down to 4 employees. In the beginning, you don't need a warehouse. We didn't know that. We were mimicking the big boys. That's what everybody that gets in the vending industry usually does. It's a huge, huge mistake. The other key element is we figured out how to get free vending machines, just like the big boys do. We figured out where to get the forms, how to fill them out. It's a little tricky. We're going to teach you how to do that. Can you imagine how fast you can grow if you get free vending machines? And then we started realizing no one in the vending industry had brochures or postcard mailers like we did in the restaurant business or in the bookstore business. So I started developing brochures. We have 35 now. These are the 6 we have just on hotels, just on the hospitality business. 35 beautiful brochures, and they work. And we got 22 postcard mailers. All you got to do is put your company name on there. It's autofill. You can do that on your computer. It saves it. Then every one of the brochures and every one of the postcards look like it was made especially, it was designed expressly for you. And here was probably the biggest component of how we discovered the route scalp. We went out and bought mailing lists. Back then you had to buy them. Now you can just get them off the internet. We got school lists, hotel lists, car dealership, apartment condos, taverns, offices, everything you can think of, associations, municipal buildings, everything we could think of. And we started mailing. The only one we dropped was municipalities. We didn't do any government locations. And I'll tell you why during the course. Believe me, it doesn't pay off. But then we'd pick out a postcard, we'd mail out 10 or 15 or 25 of them each month. After we mailed them out, we mail them out 5 or 6 or 7 times. This company we mailed for 17 months, and finally they replied, and we got their location, and it was a $50,000-$60,000 location for us to sell. So it pays to keep on mailing because they see that postcard, they get interested, they might stick one in their desk drawer, and then a couple months later they call you. Why? Because they're pissed off at their vending company. They know they're being cheated. They know the machines are old. They know they're not getting the best service. They know the check's showing up late every month. They're probably not even being paid fair. They figured that out. So then when you do these mailings, you need to start follow up and go where your mail and look at the business, look at the school, look at their vending area. Get familiar because you are going to get that phone call, and you're fishing. That's all you're doing. You're putting together a package so you can fish. And these postcard mailers, you just send them out. That's like the bait. And believe me, when they have had enough with the vending company they're with, they're going to call you. Why? Because they keep seeing your postcard mailers. They like everything's being said on those postcard mailers. They just weren't ready yet. Well, now they're ready. So now you set the appointment. You sign the location. Another key component was we only put in the best machines. That means you have to go to a licensed dealer. You can find the list in the back of all my books, worldwide list of licensed dealers for machines. They'll provide you with the warranty program, the warranty parts, the service. They'll also provide you with lease programs, and you want to lease no matter what you think of leasing because you write the payment off 100%. On a 2-year lease or 3-year lease, you write it off 100%, and then what do? You depreciate them for another 10 or 12 years. But then there's a dollar buyback. As soon as the lease is over, you give the company $1, the lease company, and you own the machine. So you want to go to these guys. They'll even give you classes on each machine. So they're licensed dealers. And they have top-notch refurbished equipment too. So that was another key component. Well, after we build that route up, to be honest with you, we're a little bored. And we'd become so good at route scalping, we decided to sell our $1 million vending business and get rid of even this warehouse wall. We didn't want a warehouse. We didn't want an office. We didn't want any more expenses. We wanted to make the maximum profit possible. So by doing that, we made more money by selling off our locations, one location at a time with the machines. A new business model was born. It's called vending lease management, and it's the most profitable segment of the vending industry on the planet. Well, we really got a good name in the vending business rather quickly, and we started having guys call us about representing them and their new high-tech machines. We've been highly paid consultants for vending machine manufacturers for, I guess, 20 some odd years now. These guys are fantastic guys, but it's hard to break into the industry. They need somebody to take them by the hand and walk them through it and show them exactly what to do, introduce them to people, explain to vendors how their machines work. We got in the vending business in the very beginning by doing monkey see, monkey do, and that's what almost everybody does. See, a big vending company, they got route trucks, route drivers, employees for the office, route truck lease payments and insurance, route truck upkeep, health and property and employee insurance also, warehouse rent, warehouse employees, advertising budgets. I go on forever, utilities, I just keep going. They have very small margins. You have a huge advantage over these guys. And as you can see by this older census report, and it's about the same now, I couldn't find a current one, but the numbers don't change that much every year. So you see anywhere from 1 to 5 employees for small vending companies, and they're 83% of the entire industry. That means you have a huge amount of companies to sell your contracts to. They haven't got time with 1 or 2 employees to run their business and go out and knock on doors and sign new locations. So they're willing to buy contracts. Matter of fact, they will become your best customers. You have to labor under correct knowledge. Doesn't matter what you do in business, labor under correct knowledge because luck in business does not exist. Vending has a low startup cost and low manageable risk. If you do it the route scalper way, you cannot get burned. That's the difference between success and failure. This morning I heard on the boob tube again, on every channel, they're saying 5 to 7 more years. This is 2013. This thing's been going for 5 years. And they say it's going to go another 5 to 7 years. Well, that's what they predicted in the beginning. They said with the kind of growth we're getting, it would be a decade. And that's what it looks like it's going to be. So the only key now is an all cash business. That's the key. The Better Business Bureau says that over 80% of small business startups in this economy fail, including franchises, within the first couple years. Well, those numbers have nothing to do with vending, please believe me. 29% surveyed under this report said that the profits were too low. That means they didn't have a business plan. 14%, well, they had bad luck. Yeah, right. No business plan, that's what that means. They had no business plan. That's what they said. 37% said the learning curve was the problem, and that created being underfinanced. And what they mean by that is the money they thought they were going to operate on, instead they started spending it on the mistakes they're making, because that's the learning curve. You got to get the learning curve out of the way first. 37% said it was the learning curve. 20% said they succeeded because they had an incubator or a mentor that they put their business in. We know incubators work, so we created one for Route Scalper. We say it's free range to create your family's future, and it is. Location breakdown. Let me explain to you what kind of profit you can make if you plan on doing a route, or if you just plan on flipping contracts, what kind of profit the people that you flip your contracts can make. On an office, if you have an office client, you have your machines in an office, you're going to make around 25% gross profit before taxes. Car dealerships, 30%, schools, 35%, hotels, 40%, gross profits on tavern routes, around 50%. 100% gross sales in arcades. Now, I didn't say profits. I said if it's gross sales. So if they walk in the door, they're not going to leave with any of the money they walked in with. We're going to show you how to do that. And it is a hoot. It will make you a lot of money. Building a high volume vending route. That's one of your choices. Building a high profit vending management company, or building both. You see, you keep the locations that's good for you, and you get rid of the locations that really don't fit your criteria. And that will finance you building a route. Easy. Strategy 1 is powerful, and it really spits off a lot of residual income. You can make between 80 and 95% profits each and every time. If you have employees, it's going to be closer to 80% because you're paying them a commission to help you sign contracts out in the field. If it's just you, it's going to be 95% profits. And then you get a residual check from those 3% residual checks. You'll be getting those on the 15th of the month. We've lived in Vegas now 3 years. We get our checks every month. That's what pays the mortgage. Strategy 2 is almost the same, although you're going to keep some of those locations. You're going to keep them for your route. You're going to make a 30, 40, 50% profit. But the ones you don't want to keep, then you're going to flip them, and you're going to get that residual income. You're going to start building it on a monthly basis. This is just exactly what I was talking to you about when we talked about the census report. These are small vendors. Boris was a small vendor, and we sold Boris. This isn't Boris, by the way. I'm going to explain that to you in just a second. We sold Boris, a Russian immigrant, a school for $30,000, a school contract. He and his son run the route for 4 years and made approximately $3,500 a month profit, $140,000 over the 4 years. Not only do we get the $30,000, we got 3% of those gross sales. And Boris had a 1-year ROI, a 10-month school year is 1 year. Then comes along this fellow. He was looking for a vending route. Boris contacts us and says he would like to sell his vending route. We tried to put them together. That didn't work. So Boris came to us and said, I asked you $30,000. I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you for $20,000, and I'll give you all 3 machines. I made a typo. It's not 5 machines. It's 3. Well, we turned around and contacted this fellow again. We sold it to him for $30,000. And then we sold him the 3 machines for $4,000 a piece. That's $12,000. Off the total deal we made before we made this video, $56,200. But guess what? You can't beat this business. We never made a machine payment. We never bought a machine. We never did any service. We didn't have a vending truck. You see, we sell our contracts somewhere between $3,000 and $50,000 for each one. 3 for the small hotels, the small apartment complexes, the really small car dealerships. But the average contract goes somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000. It just depends on what you got in inventory. And that's what your contracts really are, is inventory. We sold 2 contracts, one for a train station in Washington, D.C. for $100,000. And we sold a school in Prince George's County, Maryland, We sold a contract for them with 2,800 students for $100,000. And we've sold lots of $60,000 and $70,000 and $80,000 contracts over a 30-year period. Vending lease management is the most powerful and profitable segment in the vending industry. It truly is. And here's a little clue for you. You can scalp service contracts for any industry that provides a service. Any of them. Once you learn how to route scalp, you can scalp any kind of contract you want. They're all very valuable. The person that holds the contracts, that's who's in charge, believe me. And by doing this, you create daily cash flow. And for you guys and gals out there who've been through short sales and you got bad credit, don't worry about it. It's not going to make any difference. If you're low on cash, not going to make any difference. Just start cherry picking and flipping vending contracts. Cherry pick locations for your route if that's what you choose to do. Then flip the contracts. Or if you just want to flip them and not ever get in the vending business per se with route trucks and so on and so forth, then just flip the contracts and make 95% and receive that residual income. Build monthly residual income. You're going to need to use one of our contracts if you're going to do it properly. It's been especially written for this. We've honed it and made it better and better over a 30-year period. And you're going to need to use one of our licensing agreements to assign that contract. And when you do that, you're going to receive 1 year's credit profits up front. What that means is if you were to go out and buy machines and service that location for a year, at the end of the year, however much profit you made is exactly what I'm going to sell this contract for. I'm going to mark it up 1 year. That's the ROI. That's a real quick ROI. Now, if you decide to keep a contract and get in and start servicing your own contract, there's no ROI period. You start making money immediately. But if you flip it, you mark it up 10 to 14 months. If it's a big contract, mark it up 14 months and make more money. But we'll teach you how to do that. But you get 1 year's profit without ever owning a vending machine or ever busting a sweat. And then you receive 3% of gross sales for the life of the contract. Over 75% of all vending contracts have already expired. The vending companies are just hanging on, trying to get as much every month out of that location as they can because they know if they went in and asked to renew the contract, the company would say no. You aren't paying us fair. No, you haven't given us good service. No, your commission checks are never on time. No, your product selection sucks. 75% of those contracts are up. They're just waiting for a scalper to come along and sign them. Most locations change vendors every couple of years, not because they want to, because they're fed up. We have third-party vendors that have kept locations 5, 10, 15. We got a couple guys that have kept locations as long as 18 years. 85% of vending companies, big commissions and numbers that they have no intentions of paying. These vendors run 2 sets of books. You see, here about 7, 8 years ago, I discovered that the software package, it's called Route Software. Let me explain first. All vending machines starting in 98, 99 have hard drives. If they're quality vending machines, they have a DEX system. The hard drive's called DEX. So you needed software to pull those numbers out for all the sales and what products are selling and how much profit you made. And all those numbers, you need to pull it out of the machine. Well, they developed that route software, but 85% of those companies that developed it, they put a little quirk in there called the R factor. What's that stand for? The reduction factor. Here's how it works. They sign a new company. They come back to their computer. It says new client. They say, what's the name? They give them the name. It says, what'd you promise those fools? And they say 35, 40%. And then they say, how much you want to pay them? You say 5%. Well, the software runs 2 sets of books, and it reduces the gross sales on the 5%, so it looks like you're paying 40%. Well, one of the biggest vending magazines in the country called me on the phone, asked me if this was true, wanted me to give them a telephone interview. I did. They printed it, and the whole industry went crazy. They couldn't believe that the R factor had been around all these years, and they didn't know it. So they bid all these ridiculous numbers, 30, 35, and 40%, and they really only pay 5, 10%. Pretty crappy way to do business, right? But think of all the leverage this gives you. And all of our postcard mailers and all of our brochures explain all this in detail to clients and prospects. You see, an informed client or prospect is somebody you can get along with because eventually they learn they can't get better service or a more honest vendor than you. We got 35 brochures and all. They really are powerful. They tell the whole story. to schools, to hotels. We talk about sugar-free vending. These postcard mailers and brochures cost us about $250 each to create. There's 35 brochures and 22 postcard mailers. Where it says company name here, all you do is type that in, it'll save it for you, and then all these brochures and mailers look like they were expressly made for your company. We have them on every segment. And I love this one because our vendors get a lot of accounts. You see, if a bottler's in a high school or a middle school, or if a big vendor's in there and they're doing their cold drinks, they cannot stop you from putting a milk machine in if the school wants it, because it's not in their contract. So you get to go right in beside them, you get your foot in the door, and eventually you start taking over all the vending for the school. And milk is a great product to vend. We're also going to show you how you can give away bonuses. I know you're going to say, oh no, I can't afford to pay a bonus. Sure you can. Let's make it $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. We've even paid $15,000 bonuses. But it didn't cost us one penny out of our pocket. And some of our brochures and mailers are made just like this, so you can, it's autofill. Just go up there at the top where it says company name and address, put in your company name and address, put the date in there, the recipient's name, the school, or wherever it's at, and then however much you want to give them, and then come down there and sign it. I promise you, we're going to show you how it won't cost you one red penny, and it'll help you close a lot of big locations. We also like to do ice cream for schools and for hotels and for all sorts of other businesses because it's high profit. Our mailers are really beautiful. This is for hospitality. This is one of them. We have multiple ones for each one of these subjects. This is for schools, car dealerships. We got them for apartment complexes, for gaming. We got them for every segment. We want to share this $67 billion cash cow with you. It's been good to us for 35 years. Vending is one of the best businesses on the planet. And it's got so many little flaws like the R factor and people bidding commissions they can't pay. It just presents so many opportunities for an honest vendor. And you don't have to do a lot of work explaining the industry to your clients and to your prospects, because our postcard mailers and our brochures do that for you. That was the purpose of creating them. Market to your base audience. That's what we're doing. When you join, I'm going to meet you here at the Route Scalper dashboard. I love the way this looks, and it just works. It just really works easy. First, you're going to join either level 1 or level 2. Level 3 is already sold out. Those are your modules. There's only 8. I know it says 9. I just created the 9th one, but there's nothing in it. It's empty. When I figure out what kind of videos I want to do for 9, you'll be the first to know. And you can log in and watch them. Keep in mind, this is a lifelong membership. Ask Rick. The Ask Rick email is really one of our students' favorite tools. They get to email Rick and ask him questions. And he gets back to them within 12 to 24 hours. Rick's videos are candid camera videos. He puts a little pin camera in his pocket. He goes out and he works it. He talks to decision makers. He talks to locations. He talks to prospective buyers. He sells locations. He signs locations. He surveys locations. He even gets thrown out of a couple of businesses because they didn't want to talk about vending. You know, Rick's attitude's always been, if he didn't get thrown out of business, at least one business every week, he's not doing his job. You can tell the guy really loves his job, right? So you'll enjoy these videos. They're very interesting. I also make bonus videos for you. The Learning Center is going to have all sorts of videos. That's where you learn about each one of our documents and how what the words mean, what the power of the words are, how to use the document, how to fill out the document. We take you step by step through each one. Downloads, that's where you get all the documents and everything you're going to download. Scalper Incubator that we've been talking about, that's where it is right there. In the incubator, we even have a plan where you can get 1-hour phone calls with me, one a week. 1 a week phone calls where we can discuss anything you want to discuss. Articles that I've written, you can download those. Spec sheets. Spec sheets are really important. That's what each manufacturer does. He does a spec sheet on every machine in his inventory, every machine that they make. That's their product line. It has all the information plus some really pretty pictures. You fold that thing in half and put it in there with your brochure, your business card, and one of the letters from the letter template I'm going to give you, 115 already pre-written business letters. Throw that in there and mail it out. Because we have overturned just as many locations because of pretty pictures on spec sheets than we have by the location being irritated with their vendor. You see, they want to upgrade and make their facility look better, and vendors don't want to buy new machines. Well, since you're new to the business, all your machines will be new. So you can overcome that problem. Vendors, you see, have warehouses full of machines that are just sitting there because they've lost contracts. They're not going to go out and buy a brand new machine. They want to put an older machine in that location. So spec sheets are valuable to you. And manufacturers don't give them to anybody. They only give them to distributors. And distributors only want to give you one or two at a time. Now, we've been getting cases of them for the last 25 years because we sell so many machines for local distributors that we do business with. So we went directly to the manufacturers. I know them all. They gave us permission to let you download them from the dashboard. So you can download these right on your home computer. Then the ebooks I'm going to give you, you get those right there. Level 3 sold out. It's all pro vendors. They've already taken the course. You can't even apply. You can't even get on the waiting list for this unless you've already taken the course. We're going to give you both Pro Vendor Office Package 1 and 2. One has 32 handcrafted agreements. I even have an agreement in there from a condo, a big management company that managed condo properties. Rick signed 53 condo properties at one meeting. The man gave him all 53 condo properties from one segment of their management company. He told us if we did a good job, he'd give us another 60, which he did about 6 months later. How would you like to walk away with 113 contracts from one individual, from one company? Well, they wouldn't use our contract because they have a management contract, so I put their contract in there so you can look at that. Then in Volume 2, you got our independent contractor employee agreement, you got our licensing agreement, you got all of our legal documents, non-disclosure agreements, notes, everything you need to run a vending business, every legal agreement is in there. One of those agreements would cost you $400 to $500, and one of those contracts could cost you as much as $1,000. Not only that, where are you going to find an attorney that understands the vending business? We couldn't find one. We had to train our attorney as we went along. We've changed our contract 100, 150, 200 times in the last 35 years. It is a fantastic contract. Every time we found a flaw in it, we tightened it up. So you can take this course for less than buying one contract. Real-time value of this course is $7,500. Really, it's about $7,800. We took all the products, broke them down, what were the individual prices. It came to almost $7,800. I'm not going to play games with you. I'm not going to ask you $1,000 for the course. I'm not going to ask you $500 for the course. It was $997 for the last 3 years. $997. But we made a promise. We told all of our students, and we told everybody, the media, everybody that would listen, in the next few years, if this economy didn't turn around, that we were going to take a period where we just went to the rock bottom, so we could bring as many people in here that really need to find a new industry, a new job, a new cash flow, a stream of revenue. So that's what we've done. The economy didn't pick up, so we kept our word. We're dropping the price. It's not going to last forever, but as soon as we fill up, the offer is going to go away. But for right now, the price is $997. I was going to say $997 because that's what it was, but no, it's $97, 10% of the original cost. Here's what you get for Level 1, 2.0. 8 modules, 287 training videos, 2 vending lease management cash flow models. Those are business plans I've done for vending routes and vending management. Location survey map, vending location planogram. A planogram book comes, it's a spreadsheet, different spreadsheets, and it helps you fill up your vending machine. It's got a little you got the vending machine there, and you just start putting in Fritos and your cost and what you want to sell it for, and by the time you get through filling it out, by the way, they all come filled out. You can change them however you want to change them. But the time you get through filling them out, you're going to know what your food cost is. You're going to know what your sales cost is, sales tax cost is. You're going to know what your product cost is, how much your margin of profit is. It's going to tell you all that. A lot of vendors don't even know what a planogram is. Then you're going to get vending proposals, non-disclosure agreements, third-party vending brochure, 115 vending business letter templates, 2 of my best-selling books, all of our articles on vending, vending machine spec sheets, and one-on-one coaching incubator pathway, all for $97. That's less than dinner for 2 with a couple of cocktails. This is ridiculously low. Everybody can afford this. You can't have a brochure, you can't have a contract made, you can't have anything done for $97. Now you can have everything in volume 1, plus Ask Rick email pathway, 22 postcard mailers, 35 vending brochures, Pro Vendor Office Pack volume 1 or 2 with all of our legal documents and contracts, all the Learning Center documents and videos, all document downloads and updates for $297. Now that's the price of a dinner at a white tablecloth restaurant with a nice bottle of wine. $297. That's only a third of the cost of that flat screen TV you got hanging over there that you paid $600, $800, or $1,000 for. That's less than a new iPhone. Think about it. You can change your whole life. You can change the way you do business. You can change what you do for a living. You can add this to if you got a full-time job and you're happy, you can add this and start building retirement bucks, all for $97 or $297. And you get one-on-one coaching with us. That's so important. That's the reason when this offer comes down, there's not going to be any warning, because we can't go past, we don't want to even go to capacity, because we want to be able to do the one-on-one training with you. That's very important to Rick and I. See, the key is always labor under correct knowledge, because there's no such thing as business luck. No excuses here. Labor under correct knowledge. You got to get the learning curve out of the way. That's the difference between success and failure. Can't wait to meet you guys. Rick and I are personally really excited about coaching you. We really are. So, like I said, there will be no warning when this comes down. When this offer comes down, you're not going to know. Some of you are going to get really mad at me because you decide not to take action today. You procrastinate one more time in your life. Well, I just can't, once we fill it up, we're taking the offer down, and then prices are going back to normal once everybody gets through the course. So all I'm asking you today is, if you want to change your life, if you want to start creating residual income and cash flow, take action today. Thank you for listening. I know I run over the 30 minutes. I'm really sorry. Just put your name and your email address right up there in the right-hand corner where the arrow's pointing. Click submit. As soon as you do that, we're going to send you an email back with a link so you can download my book. Now, as soon as you do that, it's going to take you a page like this. And it's going to have another video. That's me again. If you already know which one of these modules that you decide to go with, are you going to go with level 1 or level 2? Just click on the icon. And as soon as you do that, I'm going to meet you on the other side at the dashboard. Just keep this in mind. You can't get one vending contract written for $297. You can barely get a independent contractor agreement written for maybe $250. This is a fantastic value. You should take the course just so you can get the contracts, to be quite frank with you. I'd take the course just to get the postcard mailers and the brochures. The postcard mailers are fantastic. And they're proven. We've been using them for 25, 28 years. So you got 2 choices. Level 1 or level 2. I've really enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun. And I hope I've explained the vending industry to you in a simple manner where you see how really simple this industry is and what huge opportunities await you here. And it's just like joining a franchise group. We've got all this proven material, all this proven marketing material, and we got 35 years behind us We know what we're doing. We know how to teach you vending. We can have you up and running in a matter of weeks. It's totally up to you. All right, guys and gals, I've really enjoyed this. As soon as you get over on the dashboard, send me, Ask Rick, send me an email, tell us who you are, where you live, what your aspirations for vending is, where you're at in life right now. We want to get to know you. That's what mentorship and one-on-one coaching is all about. All right, thanks a lot. I'm going to see you over at the dashboard. Happy vending.